As a teenager, I didn't have a TV in my room, but I did have a radio, and I listened to the shit out of that thing. Sometimes music, but very often I looked for talk shows, like sports talk, advice shows, sometimes religious or even political talk, and on the rare occasion that I could find it on the dial late at night, Art Bell's Coast to Coast. The thing I loved about radio was the host's voice. Their ability to tell a story, to craft a narrative was huge, but really what made a great talk radio host was their talent for captivating listeners, for keeping the ball in the air. I hung on their every word, even if they were talking about Jesus or Bill Clinton. I fell asleep many nights listening to the radio, so maybe it filled the bedtime story void left after I grew too old for my parents to do that anymore. But there was one thing I did not like about talk radio: the callers. I know the point of the caller is to set up a question for the host to talk more, but only a small percentage of radio call-in callers had the same presence as the host. Callers often sounded nervous, they stumbled over words, they rambled quickly off topic. A good host knew how to wrangle them, how to get them on their point, or how to glean the important info and just cut them off. So the same goes for my feeling about theater. Like improv that involves the audience makes me kind of tense because I don't know how well the performers will be able to steer the amateur in the right direction. Like I paid to watch the professional funny people, not some bozo in the fourth row. I'll take it one step further. The business seminar, the professional speaker or panel discussing an important topic in that field. These people make a living talking about their passions, and I want to hear what they have to say. The moment they go to the audience for questions, my brain starts to sweat. Please be coherent and brief. Please be coherent and brief, I mutter to myself. Of course, maybe my thoughts on audience involvement in professional speaking engagements would be different if there were more conference attendees like Daryl Revock in David Cronenberg's 1981 cult classic Scanners. Dude made the speaker's head straight up explode. I mean, it's rare that the audience shows up the performer on stage, but I guess it happens, and it was rad as hell. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Did you listen to the radio growing up? Did you have a favorite radio station?
I
Like,
did. I did. Yeah. I can't remember if I had a favorite radio station, but I definitely listened to a lot of Motown
mm-hmm.
because, I grew up in Tennessee, so it was like country, Jesus, or oldies. Like those were your only options, and I opted for oldies. So I knew, it was kind of like 50s, 60s, 70s was, and I just remember like listening to a lot of Motown growing up. And I think the only kind of radio DJ, I think, like Coast to Coast was maybe one of them, but I do remember listening to Delilah After Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, I would catch that.
I loved that stuff. I thought it was so great. I remember Y95 in Dallas, Texas, when I would listen to that, and it was the top nine at nine.
Yeah,
And so they would play just top nine pop music. And I
sure.
remember you would, if you were the ninth caller afterwards and you could name all nine songs in order, you would get like a free CDs. And so I did it. And I remember the week that I called in, I was a teenager, like 15, 16 maybe. But I called in. I remember the number one was Tevin Campbell. And I don't remember the name of his song, but it was like his breakout song when he was a teenager.
Tevin Campbell. Oh my gosh. Wow. That takes me back.
1991, I think, is when
Yeah.
that was. So if you
Yeah.
can find that on the charts, I still think about how's Tevin Campbell doing these days? I think he's still active. So Cecil, I once again failed us to find a guest for this episode, but I managed to find voice actor, a performance artist, a playwright, and an all-around delight of a person. I found us a Robin Virginie. Hi, Robin. Welcome.
Hi, that's so nice. Oh my God. Hi.
Welcome,
Hello.
Robin.
Hi. I have an immediate radio confession to make, which is I would always listen. I grew up in Holland. I would listen to the Koen and Sander show on the Dutch radio, and
Oh,
I would listen to it before going to school. And I remember, and at this point, I was like a child actor. I was like working. And there was this one morning where it would be like a bunch of comedy stuff and then a serious moment where they would discuss something in the news and let people call in and talk about it. And this is sorry for saying something dark, but they were talking about this day, it was about animal abuse. And
Oh,
everyone was saying stuff that I was like, no, someone needs to come on there and really really speak on this. And so I was like, I'm gonna call. And so I called, and I was also like 14. At first, I had the producer, and I was like, this is my opinion. I think this is how we should talk about our fellow creatures on this planet, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, okay, got it. Keep that in mind. I'm going to put you on the air right now. And then as she put me on the air, I hung up.
Oh no.
I was
Oh,
like,
the
I
cold
actually can't
feet.
do this, and I'm going to go to school. I
You're
was so
like, the
scared.
first period bell is ringing. You're like, I have to go.
Yeah, I was like, I'm too scared and I don't want to do this. So I was very much that guest that you're afraid of, Jeffrey. I was too scared. I was like,
I
I
love
can't.
that though, because sometimes the guest does hang up and I always feel a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
You might have had some awesome things to say.
Maybe we'll never know.
that's true. We'll never know. We'll never know your hot opinions about how we should treat animals. Controversial
Yeah, and
opinions.
now I won't say.
Robin, we were hanging out a few weeks ago, you, me, and Janina Mathewson.
Yes.
Oh,
We are
fun.
on a subway train in New York City, riding home from a recording session for Within the Wires, and we were talking about horror movies. And I didn't realize that you enjoy watching the horror movies, so I was excited to get you on the show. How did you get to like horror movies? When did you start watching scary things?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually don't. Since the get-go, I like movies that make you feel something, which is a very general thing to say. That could be said about any type of movie, but specifically horror movies, I enjoy I enjoy watching things take place that you either never could have thought of or that you've thought of and was like, that's awful. And then it's kind of nice to be like, oh, someone made that. Someone actually spent months trying to put that on
Hmm.
film. I wouldn't say I'm like a connoisseur. I wouldn't say I'm like an aficionado, but yeah, I love I love some gore. I think especially like more like older special effects I think are amazing. That I
Yes.
also just think is gorgeous art.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm a fan.
And we got that with this movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh
Do
my
you
God.
remember what was maybe your gateway horror film? Like one of the earlier horror films that you saw, that you're like, oh, I think I really like this.
Blair Witch Project.
Oh, hell
Yes.
yeah.
I was like, this is it. I was 15. My best friend and I watched it. We then went out on our bikes. Very, very Dutch childhood. We went out on our bikes in the night and just be spooky. We didn't even do anything. Like we weren't cool. So we just went out on our bikes and be like, "Hoo, hoo, hoo, remember the witch? Remember the thing?" Yeah.
That movie was affecting. Oh my
Uh-huh.
Oh
gosh,
my
that movie was so
God.
affecting.
I think it's a perfect movie. Yeah. And then my other one, and I don't know if this counts. Also, this was the movie that got me thinking maybe horror is not for me. Also, I just don't think this counts. But do y'all remember Will Smith's I Am Legend?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Does
And
it
I
count as a
haven't seen
horror
it.
movie?
Oh,
I
for
think so.
sure. Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
there's very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The issue, there's no issue, but the issue that I gave myself with this movie was that I only saw the trailer and I thought it was going to be the trailer made it look like it was about like the end of times and about just like one man surviving in the wild in New York City. And there were like lions and giraffes. And I was like, this is going to be gorgeous. And so I sat on the first row. I watched an 11 p.m. screening and was shocked and traumatized for
And there's a
I
bunch of
thought it was going to
vampires
be,
going like
yeah, exactly. I thought it was going to be like inspiring and beautiful. Just so disappointing.
you thought it was going to be Castaway,
Totally,
but
totally,
with
totally.
Will Smith in New York.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but like a more like urban landscape. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, those
Um,
are the two, I think.
I
Amazing.
love that.
I I definitely had the same thing with like Blair Witch Project. I remember seeing that in the theater in my early 20s when that came out, and I was I loved that movie. And I didn't watch horror. I avoided horror. But I think Blair Witch was more the type of like spooky horror. There was always a threat of gore, but there really is none to speak
No,
Mhm.
of.
no.
And I think it's movies like Scanners that I was like, absolutely not. I could never watch this fucking thing. And so it's a delight now after 4.5 years of doing this show with Cecil, where I can watch a movie like this and be like, oh hell yeah, bring on the crazy like squirty blood veins in the
Oh my
forehead.
God.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
stunning.
let's talk about Scanners, shall we? All right, so we're gonna open. This is a 1981 film. This is another Cronenberg. We've covered a few of those. We did The Fly for our Patreon. We've
Yeah.
done, oh, which one was it? Rabid?
Yeah, The Brood.
And we did The Brood. Oh, yes, indeed. So we know we're gonna get body horror
Yep.
and we're gonna get kind of a
Sci-fi vibes,
sci-fi vibe sort of
shadowy
thing.
conspiracies.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So good. God, you know what? Canada, you always do it right.
I
Right?
was just gonna say, what a testament to Canada and
Yeah.
how beautiful their public spaces are
I was gonna
Yes.
say
and well
Canadian
maintained.
malls.
Gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
That
Oh,
opening, I was like, what a beautiful. Where is this? And immediately I was like, this can't be America.
no.
This is
This is too
stunning.
nice.
Where is this? Where is this? Gorgeous.
We're going to meet Cameron Vale, and he is an unhoused man who is strolling through a 1980s Montreal mall's food court. And he's stealing cigarettes off of people's ashtrays,
Yep.
which was it's a memory of a time stealing fries off of people's trays and just walking through generally just trying to survive, trying to get by. But then I think the one American thing is this woman who starts making snide commentary about him to her friend sitting across the
Right.
way in the food court. What does she
Yeah.
call him? Like he's not even human or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, uh, okay, an immediate thought I had, and throughout the movie, they kept referring to this part of his life as him being like despondent and clearly a mess. Whereas I saw him and I was like, gorgeous outfit, looking great, fun guy.
Yeah,
And that
same.
he looks and in no way I was like, it looks like he's doing fine. He
Yeah,
looks like
Yeah.
he's in a great time of his life, which
his
was
Yeah,
hair
he has
looks
like
great.
like he has like 3 o'clock stubble. Like
yeah,
not even
yeah,
5 o'clock
exactly.
stubble.
Exactly. Exactly. Gorgeous outfit, fun, pretty fashionable. Yeah, but that was him at his worst.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
he ends up staring at this woman who's making commentary about him to her friend. And then we hear this kind of high-pitched whine noise that is running through her head, and her eyes get real big. And he is TKing her to the
Yeah.
point where she has a seizure. And then two men in trench coats go chasing him through this mall, trank him, and he ends up in a hospital bed.
Now, I have to say, this is like actually one of the gayest things about this movie is not the 2 men in trench coats, but the fact that like you could like knock somebody out with a withering stare
Yes.
Mhm.
to me is
With
like a
one
gay
look.
superpower. Like you could just be like, bitch, please. And then somebody would just like fall over and like into shock is
Yeah.
like a gay superpower.
Yeah, queer icon in many ways.
Absolutely.
Great fashion and immediately like, oh, are you fucking talking about me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I will look at you for a long time and now you have a seizure. That chase was cool.
Oh, I know, right?
I love
love
that.
that.
Like the up and down the escalators thing is so
Yeah.
well shot. The crisscrossing escalators as he's like flipping from one to the other, which was the thing as a kid in malls I always wanted to do.
Yeah. And there's something about David Cronenberg. He knows how to get you in like even like the most innocuous things are kind of a gut punch. So like when he gets tranquilizer dart, it's like in the meat of his hand.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but that just makes me wince. I don't know. It just I was like, oh, what a specific place to like it's not in your arm, it's not in your butt, which is kind of the usual movie whatever.
Mhm.
But like in the hand, I was like, ow, just making me go ick.
Yeah, very specific.
It's such a it is funny like how those like that specific choice makes such a huge difference. Like because the trank dart is such an old staple of especially
Right.
like prime time TV
Yes.
thrillers or whatever. And yeah, the idea because you can't really shoot them and show blood flying everywhere, so you trank dart them or something. But yeah, it always ends up in the shoulder, someplace that wouldn't be that painful to get poked. All right, we're gonna meet Dr. Paul Ruth.
Oh, Dr. Paul. He seems so normal, right?
Oh, from the get-go, just the normalest
The
man.
most normal.
Super chill. Gorgeous mid-Atlantic accent.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
a gorgeous 1940s movie star.
Uh-huh.
Very captivating. Weirdly, maybe this is toxic to say, weirdly attractive in my opinion. I was like, oh, so much authority and I don't know if maybe I'm sharing too much
He's
about me.
I could see that. I could like he's like the professor that you would kind of have some questioning thoughts about.
Yeah, yeah. I'm being like, I don't know what it is, and I don't ever have to meet him, but I see him,
Uh-huh.
is my thought.
I think he's so calm in
Yeah.
everything that he does for the most
Hmm.
part. And so he always looks a little unaffected. So even when he gets in
Yeah.
the argument with Keller,
Oh
he
yeah, he
just
is.
already has the answer. He already knows the question, he has the answer, and that confidence is alluring in people when somebody is that confident and that cool.
It's also like
Hmm.
very like he just also seems like a difficult guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also begins his conversation with Cameron, who is strapped down in a white gown to a hospital bed, but it's in like a classroomy type of environment. It's all surrounded by chairs facing the bed. And he immediately says, why are you such a human piece of junk at age 35?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, whoa, okay.
So he talks dirty to you as well. So
Yeah.
I'm getting the attraction, is what I'm
Tough
saying.
tough love.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Because there is a familiar relationship there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, well, the reason is not because you're a loser, really. It's because you're a scanner, which can make your life miserable because you're absorbing everything around you. And he's like, but I can show you, young Harry Potter,
There's a
how
way.
how to cultivate those skills here at Consec Hogwarts.
Oh my God. Here at Professor X's School of
Yep.
Mutant Abilities.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. In what looks like both as like a classroom, but also just like an attic somewhere.
I
Which is
know.
funny for a gorgeous government program that's like you get the attic with a sink in the middle of the room and some
It it
folding
it
chairs.
feels like the worst acting class you've ever been to. You
It's
know?
exactly that. It's like a Meisner class where they
Yes.
up and including just having one person be on a bed writhing.
Yes. Like you walk in, there's like a bed, nothing else,
Yeah, yeah.
and 50 chairs.
And 50 people sitting being like, well,
They're
this
like,
is the
and we will
class.
begin Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would like to begin?
Exactly.
Okay. This is what I love about this movie is that if from the get-go, we're on the shadowy government agency side because we're being led into this through Cameron Vale's point of view.
Hmm.
So, like Dr. Ruth plucks Cameron Vale out of the gutter, cleans him up, gives him a nice big dose of ephemeral, kind of crash courses him into the world of scanners. And at no time does Cameron Vale ever go, "Hey, um, what's the ethics of this place that I am in?
Hmm.
Hmm. Who do you
Oh,
work for? What's the
Who do you
deal?
work for? Why? Where'd you get these 50 people that are literally just sitting here for like 6 hours that are being paid like a jury summons to just sit here and think thoughts?"
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is basically like getting picked up by Raytheon, right? Like Consec is like a weapons manufacturer.
Yes. Yeah.
This is like, welcome to Blackwater. I'm Dick Cheney. Oh, thanks.
Right.
So thank you for
Right.
helping me out.
Like when they're having their board meeting, they're like, "We're gonna leave the crazy dolphins with space lasers to other people." And I was like, is was that on the agenda for today?
Not today. Yeah.
Dolphin, dolphin, we're gonna put a pin in the dolphins with space lasers. Okay, gotcha.
No time. It also makes you think like Mr. Vale. It's like, okay, he's an unhoused individual living off of mall fries and cigarettes.
Yeah.
What is his understanding of the world? Because so far
Yeah.
it seems like he was just born and was just like, hello.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Also,
a great point.
it's interesting that that he kind of doesn't really understand his powers. I feel like at 35, even you would have kind of an idea of like, oh, when I stare for a long time, someone gets a seizure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I had that
But
same
but
thought
but he
too.
also gets a seizure. So maybe he doesn't remember it or understand
Yeah.
it.
Or doesn't enjoy doing that at all.
Yeah.
Because he also at a certain point says like, well, that woman forced me to look at her, which is a
Yeah.
pretty intense line to say.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Woof.
Like she made me. Like
Yeah.
Okay.
she drew my attention and like made me attack her.
Yeah.
That sounds a little victim blamey, Cameron.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah, not very woke
Sh-
for 1981. 1981 Canada.
She totally dissed my toboggan, and so I had to show her what's what
That's right. I had to do my stare at the mall.
next to the Orange Julius.
Yeah.
Hmm. Next to the A&W. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got so we're gonna go into Consec headquarters. And we've got this man in glasses who is
Oh
leading
God.
a seminar um, on scanning, part of the scanning program. And we've got a smattering of people in the audience. And he's like, I'm going to scan. He's going to demonstrate scanning for them. So it's like, I'm going to scan each one of you. It's going to some unpleasant side effects. I get a volunteer. And one guy's like, sure, fine, I'll do it.
Low
Yeah. You
level.
know what?
Yeah. Nice
Fuck
and
it.
easy.
It's
Level one
Friday.
scanning.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Um, there's nothing I love and hate more than the like any type of show wherein like people have to do mind blast each other. Like we
No,
kind of
right?
get this in The Exorcist. It's kind of
Yeah.
in any like Marvel movie, although they put lasers and shit to in CGI, do
Exactly.
whatever. But I'm not a trained actor, and so I've never had to stand across a stage or on a set and have to do zap fingers.
Cecil's so good. He's doing like a true like eye zap. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
And
what happens here.
it's so apparent from like I think this is a perfect scene to kind of set up one Dale Revick as a character, but also like what's like we've seen kind of Cameron Vale, the kind of like the diamond in the rough, but this is like what scanning could be.
this is
This
what
is
it
the
could
like
be.
polished up version of scanning because was it Mr. Bluth over here is not doing well. And Daryl Revick is like enjoying every minute of this arm wrestling contest.
Very cool. And how manipulative
Hmm. Sure.
Manipulative.
manipulative.
Yeah.
My God, I can't speak. But that he asked that he goes like, should I close my eyes or not? Like, what's the
I know,
deal?
right?
Like,
Yes.
you could do eyes open, eyes closed, doesn't matter. Oh my God. Also, does it because I thought this entire scene was also just beautiful. Like the space they chose, the colors, the setup, how the people were like positioned, because the whole thing was even before the big moment, it was all so eerie and so beautifully done. Also, it reminded me for a moment, I was like, oh, is this in Soviet Russia? The
Yeah.
way just it looked and
Uh-huh.
how everyone was set up. It was
He
very
does
cool.
bleak spaces really well, I feel like
Yeah.
Cronenberg
Hmm.
does. The apartment building in
I was gonna say, yeah,
Rabid.
like
Yeah.
apartment buildings, malls, yeah,
Hmm.
urban spaces.
Yeah.
Oh, that fucking hospital in The Brood.
Yes.
Mm.
So, well, he Revok, Revoke, Revok.
Rev-
Rava.
You've been revoked. You've
Revok.
been revoked.
He wins the brain wrestling competition and David Cross's head explodes.
Like explodes.
Yeah, we get full like him struggling for a bit, and then we get a direct on shot of him just sitting at the desk like a news anchor, and then head expands and kablooey.
That's a perfect way to
Gorgeous.
describe it. And I think that's why this scene is so shocking, is because they look like news anchors.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's so corporate. And to see something so horror sci-fi happening to people that are so like, here's my little badge. Here, I'm in a suit. I'm in a totally neutral space. That's so shocking.
Yeah, yeah. Specifically placing them behind a desk
Yeah.
versus on two chairs in the middle of a stage or two of them standing is so smart. Because you kind of, as an audience member, you kind of relax into something you think you understand. And so then when the big explosion happens, oh my, but how beautiful. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Oh my God. Did y'all read on the okay, so I went on the Wikipedia page and apparently they tried a bunch of different stuff. They had stuffed the little dummy or something with like hamburger meat to try. And they tried like a bunch of other stuff as well. And then apparently, this is me paraphrasing the Wikipedia page, but apparently after multiple attempts, what they decided to do was just have all the crew go behind in their trucks and behind the windows and everything. And then one of the people just shot the dummy in the head from behind. And that's how they got the like.
Yeah,
Whoa.
like with a shotgun.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because apparently like
Amazing.
they were like if you use a squib, it has a like a little bit of a flare. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how you like somebody said like that's how you blow up a Death Star. But that
Okay.
that means it's like a mechanical thing exploding as opposed to like an organic thing exploding.
Hmm.
Mm.
And you can kind of see that spark. And they didn't want that. They wanted this like very organic. It like that looks like like it didn't have any, it's completely uncombustible, combustible.
Oh,
It's so good. And it is. You're right. It's so organic. It's so organic looking. I remain very amazed when we watch these old movies from the 70s and 80s of how good some of the practical effects are.
Yeah.
I still think about William Hurt's like bubbling arm in Altered States
Yeah.
that, you can have the actor holding his arm up and you see like seamlessly how the arm kind of like he gets Popeye arm very
Yeah.
suddenly in that movie. And we're going to see that later with the veins popping through people's faces and things like that.
And I think it's two things. It's one, it's having good actors and good directors that are willing to like put their actors and like let them react to that. And then also it's having technical people and special effects people that are willing to try time after time after time that are like that love of the craft that are like, well, let's try it like this. No, let's try it a little bit like this. Let's try it a little bit like that. It still doesn't look right. That are willing to do it like that, just love this stuff so much. And when you put those two together, you get these scenes that are kind of iconic.
Yeah.
yeah. Because even before the explosion, just their mind battle, both of them did such interesting stuff and such concerning stuff. I
I
was like,
know.
wait, what is taking place? Um, which is such a testament to their acting of just like and directing of the choices being so unsettling. Like something's off, but I can't tell what. Very, very cool.
Well, they try to arrest Consec security tries to arrest Revok. But when they try to give him the ephemeral, which basically nullifies your psychic powers for your telekinetic powers for a bit, he, controls the doctor's mind, makes him inject himself, and pretends to have taken it. I like this shot because again, the doctor's holding Revok's hand down, and so it's their two hands on top of each other. And I just got like the cute idea in my mind is like the kind of the romantic meet cute trope of two hands, like which fingers are mine?
Oh
Which
my
are
Like,
God.
oh,
theirs?
that's my ephemeral. Sorry,
Oh,
you
that's
take
Yeah.
mine.
you
Oh,
take
you got.
it.
Well, I also love this because we've now seen scanning at a 10, but we now know there's like subtleties to it.
Hmm.
So like now he can use it at like a 1 and in really quiet, subtle ways. And now we understand that like in the hands of the right person, this shit is like super dangerous.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, we're going to
Oh, wait,
gonna
I have one
oh,
more
go ahead,
thought,
please, please.
which is, and I'm wondering if I'm forgetting because who was holding Revok in that moment? Because it wasn't Keller who was in with him, right? It was, I think it was a random
I
other
don't think so.
agent, and so I was kind of like, was he just looking away during that 30-second interval of Revok doing mind tricks on the doctor? Because there was someone just holding him down who just was not paying attention and then was like, great, we got it.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They're like, you got this, doc.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna look away. I'm gonna give you some privacy. You go do this. Yeah.
I
But
think
works out great.
yeah. I isn't Keller brought in after this whole sequence where
Oh yes,
Reva
totally.
kills
Yes,
everyone and gets
that's
That's when
it.
away?
he's like, I'm new.
Because and to be fair to the Consec CEO or whatever, you did need a new head of security after
Yeah.
what happened
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the whole thing was that seminar was actually kind of like a it's like a media launch. Like we are
Yeah.
revealing that we have a scanner program to the world, to our investors. This is an important night, and then they watched everything go to fucking shit
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Somebody's head
fast.
exploded. This guy got
Always thought.
captured. He then goes on a car chase, kills your entire security team.
Everyone. Yeah.
And all of your scanners, like they sent the scanners with, so like they say later they had 6 scanners in their squad,
Those
and
were scanners?
all of them are dead, is
Oh my God.
basically,
I didn't realize that they were all scanners.
Me
yeah.
neither. Oh,
Um,
maybe they
They
were.
just suck compared to Revik.
Yeah, they're
yeah.
just dumb. Yeah, that's you know what, and that's beautiful. This movie shows you like, yeah, you can be a scanner, but you still have to work. You're not
Yeah.
automatically gonna be good.
Right.
Yeah.
You might be one of the 6 bad ones who dies in the
Yeah.
beginning.
I get the sense there are people with differing strengths of scanning
Mhm,
ability.
mhm, mhm.
It's sort of like the difference between like me and Tom Brady. Like I can definitely throw a football and I
You
know
just
how
throw a
football is played,
Uh-huh.
but we're at different levels. He's more
Don't
of
sell
a
yourself short. I
Revok
think you guys are the
They're
level.
like,
same.
okay, Jeffrey, take this football. There's Tom Brady.
I'm
Get out there
more
and fight, fight, fight.
my football level is more like my scanning level is more like Ray, the guy driving the car.
That the one we also get one of my favorite 70s 80s tropes, which is car hits something, car immediately explodes into
Giant
into
explosion.
fireball.
Yes.
Yeah, generally
Unsafe
kind
at
of an
any speed.
easy, yeah, an immediate, just like, damn, that was the whole car. Ran into a building.
Like
Whole car's
this
gone.
car was
Sorry.
filled with kerosene.
Mhm.
Never
Yeah.
fails.
God,
Oh my
so
God.
good. So good. So he gets away after killing the people trying to take him, take him to whatever prison, some cell. I don't know where they were taking him.
Okay, Magneto. All right. What are
Yeah, yeah.
I just kept thinking, I was like, man, because this is like the 5th time I've seen this movie. I was like, this is so X-Men.
Yes. Yes.
I was like,
Mhm.
all right, Professor. I was like, all right, Professor X and Kim Oberst. All right,
Yeah.
Magneto, off you go.
Uh-huh.
Totally.
Join me or die, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So Braden Keller is hired as the new head of security at Consec, and Keller is like, "Hey, let's ditch your dumb scanner program and dolphin lasers and all of that,
Yep.
and goat telekinesis and all of that shit. Let's just concentrate on doing the cool stuff we already do, like make space weapons."
Like bombs and guns and
Yeah.
napalm.
Yeah. What about our main stuff? Yeah.
Did
The,
they
the
like?
hits. Stick with the hits.
Yeah.
I was like, "You guys, is this Canada? Are we? Is there like a nuclear weapons program in Canada? Maybe so. I don't know. Canada fights and shit, so they've got a military.
I mean, remember, this is the 80s.
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
that
so
was that was the other
everyone-
thing. Like especially in light of like the final scene, recalibrating like my understanding of like the geopolitics of the time is like it's the 80s. So this is like no nukes now was the like, nuclear weapon, like nuclear armament was huge. And
Mhm.
also we're 40 years removed from like Nazis tinkering with, like genetic experiments on people and like all that
Mhm.
shit coming to light.
Yeah.
So like that is very much in people's consciousness.
Yes. So Keller wants to drop the scanners program. Dr. Ruth is there saying like, you don't understand, like the reason why that man got through your security, killed our scanners. He is the scanner of all scanners in this world, and if we don't have a scanner program, he will take over the world with his own alt scanning. He's alt scan.
Oh my God. Dude,
And-
if I ever start a band, it's gonna be called the Scanner Underground.
Oh, that's cool.
Man,
Oh, that's
now I
cool.
have to open the band names file
Another
again.
open the band name Scanner
I
Underground.
Oh, so good. With this scene, I have in my notes. I don't have many notes, but in this scene, I just have Dr. Ruth colon diva because
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
sitting, he's quiet the whole time, and
Yes.
then he's just like, let me, you know what? Let me talk you through something a little. Let me talk you through a little mind game. Like it's so just so like Broadway diva being like, you can fire me, but imagine this. It was so good. Just like speak on it.
Oh, and here's a 10-page report that I've already made on this entire thing. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like super cute what you're saying. Welcome to the team. P.S. I could destroy you in one line. Really good. Really, really good.
Amazing. So that's our setup. That's our conflict within this. Should we have the scanner program? Should we not? We're gonna keep it for a bit. We're also gonna learn very soon that Keller, it might be an informant
That's right.
for
Yeah.
someone else.
Double agent.
That's right. Also very Cold War era
Yeah.
Yes.
storyline of like, and someone is a double spy. And this is how they're
Like
doing it.
meeting in a neutral space. Like when I move the briefcase to the ground, you come and sit next to me and we sit next to each other so nobody will know. We just look like two normal businessmen sitting on the train platform,
Two businessmen watching the subway go by.
like completely normal, not homosexual businessmen trading
Exactly.
trading corporate secrets to each other.
Man, I had
Yeah.
to take the M train to Ridgewood a couple weeks ago, and I have to say, the train platforms in Montreal are very nice.
Yeah, I
Another
bet.
moment where I was like, this is not America. I was
Yeah.
like, where is
Yeah.
this? It's beautiful. It's so
Yes.
clean.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done, Canada. They win again.
So, Dr. Ruth is going to show Cameron footage of Daryl Revick from the 1960s when Revick was 22 years old. He's 35 now, or 30 something now. This footage is so good. I
This is
love his
Oh,
dialogue in this scene.
like, yeah, I was gonna say the writing, but like honestly, Michael Ironside, like I literally must bow down
Hmm.
hmm
to the acting in this. And it's a little over the top, but it's also, I think, meant to be shocking us and the character Cameron. So that
Yes.
way, because again, like we're being led down this primrose path because Dr. Ruth, everything he says is totally correct. Look, here's this insane Marilyn Manson, like Charles Manson-esque person who's drilled a fucking hole in his head to let
hmm
the voices out.
Yep.
And now he's running the scanner underground, and if you don't join him, you'll die. Look how crazy he is. Don't you want to fight this guy? Of course you do.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, as an audience member, I was like, okay, I guess you
Yeah,
have to be with the government for this one, I guess.
Hmm.
I still
Yeah.
want to see receipts.
Yeah.
I still was like, I was like, Cameron, I still want to see proof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Proof to me that he's out there killing people.
Well, Cameron has no questions whatsoever. I think that's part of
No.
his maybe his beautiful psyche. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm in the situation. I'm gonna do my best.
He's like, listen, you keep me going, ephemeral and hamburgers, I'll hunt down whoever the fuck you need me to hunt down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, they gave him a gorgeous suit right away.
I
And
know,
we're
right?
like, now you're one of us. Here's a beautiful suit.
Did you notice like his clothing gets so tight as the movie goes on?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
he is like Brooks brothered out by the end of this movie.
Yes.
I
Also, does oh sorry. You go.
please.
Does this is a slight subject change, but Refalk, he also reminded me, both the actor and the choices, very Jack Nicholson in The Shining
Absolutely.
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of intense eye and eyebrow moments.
Yeah. Like he's got those arch eyebrows. That's like, I'm smiling, but I might also eat you.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm probably doing both.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thinking about what you just said, Robin, about Cameron having just no questions. Sounds great, sort of thing. And but also, Cecil, you bring up this is the era of like nuclear armament, like an arms race,
Yeah.
especially between the US and USSR.
Mhm.
But another thing that I haven't brought up in a while, but is that this era of movie making too, we're still reckoning with Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
And I know Canada has a different relationship to the Vietnam conflict than the United States does, but it is very closely tied together.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
And the idea of people saying, "Yes, sir, I will fight for my country. Yes, sir, I will fight for my country," and just not questioning why the government is like, "We're the good guys, those are the bad guys. Point, go shoot them."
Yeah.
And that's what Cameron
Hmm.
is. Like he is a draftee into the US Army flying off to Saigon or whatever.
I work for
Yeah.
Consec. What does Consec make? I never thought to ask.
I never
Yeah.
asked, no worries. Yeah. Oh, I'm just a guy. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also very much that fear mongering of like any sort of underground movement is to be
Yeah.
questioned,
Yes.
no matter what.
Yeah.
Because when we meet Kim Obrist and her group of
Oh,
hippie
fuck yes.
scanners,
I know.
Yes. The
because there's
far left
another,
of scanners.
yeah,
Oh my God.
woke scanners.
Woke scanners. All right. All right, Professor Xavier and your hippie scanners.
Yes. Living in communal housing, a
I
very
know,
beautiful,
right?
like
Oh,
leftist setup. Yeah. Everyone taking
living
care of
in
each other.
living in Brooklyn, Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to point out that Revok in this old movie, it kind of explains why he has this
Yeah.
weird kind of hole in his third eye, which
Yes.
one I love because having seen enough Cronenberg now, and even non-school assignment Cronenberg when I watch Existence with Dan recently,
Hmm.
Mm.
man, Cronenberg loves an orifice,
Yes, he
and
does.
Revok straight up has a butthole on his forehead.
Yes, he does.
Existence and Videodrome, and he loves a vaginal opening.
Things go in, things go out.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, this hole he drilled in his head to stop the voices, and he's built a little like he drew an eyeball on a paper and taped it over the hole, which
Yeah.
that's his evil eye to keep people from going into his soul.
Which is it concerning to say that a lot of that logic, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
that, I'm like, I maybe would make a similar call were I in your situation and no one explained to me that, during pregnancy, my fetus was given an insane amount of ephemeral and then afterwards, I would maybe also be like, maybe I could do the medieval thing and just kind of scoop it out or something. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a magical realism sort of explanation
yeah.
to
Yeah.
something that you don't understand. You're like, because he's talking about like there's entire people inside my head, arms, feet, hands.
Oh,
And
and what
so,
a gorgeous text that is. It's like
right.
that's
Uh-huh.
so effective.
And
Yeah.
the woman behind, it's classic, like, medical, the kind of unseen medical person. She's like, so you put an eye over it. He's like, well, it's actually a doorway. And I covered that doorway with an eye. So that way they would get confused and stay the fuck out of my head. I'm
Yeah.
like, as kind, yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's kind of like would have done the same, bro. Would have done the same. Yeah.
So when you're writing a script, a novel, a fiction, piece of fiction where you have characters and they're doing things, the question is always going to come about for you as the writer as to like, does this sidebar character need a name and a backstory? Like earlier I mentioned Ray, the driver of the car, which only exists he just shouts Ray, and Ray is such a generic name
Sure.
that like it doesn't matter. We don't get Ray's backstory. We just know Ray was driving the car and now he's crashed
Right.
and we're all dead.
And then he explodes.
And then he explodes.
Explodes.
But if you were to give Ray a more, like a full name, it starts requiring more explanation, and that's what I'm going to say when Dr. Ruth takes Cameron to Dieter Taut's yoga
Oh my
instructor.
God. Listen,
Why
Wow.
Dieter Taut,
full snaps for Dieter Tautz.
who really does almost nothing in this movie, but has an amazing name. Like the whole Star Wars empire is built on George Lucas giving crazy ass names to people who are in a movie for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it made me go like, wait, what do you want from me with this as an audience member? Like
Yeah.
what do you want me? Is the German is this what do you want me to be thinking right now? I couldn't tell.
And the fact that he's okay, so he's a yoga master,
Uh-huh.
Yes.
but he's also dressed in a full ass suit with a bow tie.
Yes, yes.
Not traditional yoga attire, I suppose, but he came from his day job of uh,
Yeah,
Yoga instructing.
yoga instructing and also antique bookstoring, I guess.
yeah. German background actor
Yeah.
in the movie studio there. Yeah, wild. And
Dieter
they set him
Touts.
up in a way where you're like, well, he's gonna come back with some sort of, or he's at least gonna get a line that gives us some exposition or something. But no.
I thought he was gonna be a Yoda type or something that he was going to teach.
Right?
Because I
Yeah.
thought this scene is about Cameron already being in control of his talents. Because the whole thing is scan Dieter Touts to make his heart rate increase and then stop.
Yeah.
And also Dieter Touts, because he's so good at yoga, he can control his own heartbeat, which I have not reached that level of yoga
Very
course
new
yet.
agey. I was like,
Hmm.
okay. Very
And
interesting for the time, that admittance of like you can meditate yourself actually to a perfect heart rate. It's like, wow. Yeah.
And so the point of the scene is just to show that Cameron is already up to speed on his powers. We
Yeah.
are not in
Hmm.
Hogwarts. There's not going to be a 7-book series on how to
No, he's
really
a wonder
refine
kid.
your skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets it. This is scanning, not that hard.
Yeah.
Now that I
And it's also like the glee on his face when he's like, yeah, wasn't that hard, was it? You're like,
Was
oh,
so scary.
you might
yeah.
have a tinge of evil in you, sir.
Yes. And then makes you go like, so you did know what you were doing at the mall?
I know.
Maybe you did know what your
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
actual powers are? Mm.
So he's gonna go try and find Benjamin Pierce. Benjamin Pierce was a scanner, but also Benjamin Pierce went to prison at age 10 for trying to kill his whole family with scanning.
I mean, they're just kids.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Kids will be kids.
When you're
But
10, you know.
yeah, oh, you really wanna kill your whole family at
Yeah.
some points.
But he's
But
been rehabilitated
through
through
art.
art. Listen, kids, get that Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in sculpture.
Hmm.
It's worth it. It's
Absolutely.
gonna save your life to an extent.
To an extent.
Or
But
yeah.
listen, worst case scenario, you kill your whole family.
Yes.
Best case scenario, you build a giant, like, hangout, like, Molly ecstasy club den that with like cushy inside drug room.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Honestly, that shit was the tits.
Also, his art was genuinely
Yes.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
Everything
it's
I was like, whoever they hired, this is beautiful, beautiful work.
this is also something that I noticed that I really love for David Cronenberg. He often has like an artistic interpretation of the theme of the movie that he's making. It's in
Mm.
Dead Ringers, it's in this movie. This idea of like it's in Existence, the idea of the controller,
Uh-huh.
like what that thing, like the idea of the film is often put into an artistic vision. And fuck yes. Like I love that of being like, yes, they're like, we're gonna take this horrible, manipulative, shadowy conspiracy, body destroying, terrible thing, and then put it into an artistic hand. And what does that look like? Like for me, it was the
Mhm.
piece with like all the heads with the lines coming down into like that one person's head that looks they're slack jawed. I was like, scanners. Like
Uh-huh.
that one piece of sculpture is scanners in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, which also gives a level of just respect to your audience, I think, to be like, you're gonna see this and we're gonna give you all of these layers. It's a
Mhm.
very, very cool thing. Yeah. Oh, and
Well,
this
he
is also where we
Oh,
get introduced to Kim briefly at the point
yeah.
before.
yes.
And that was
Yes.
just at the moment where I was like, are we gonna have one woman or
I
no for
know,
this one? And then they were
right?
like, yes, 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 Kim.
Kim.
Here she is.
Yeah. This movie certainly doesn't pass the Bechdel test, but you do get a lady.
You get a
Do
lady. Her
get
name is
a
Kim.
lady. Um, who sleeps through the climax of the film.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, they set her up. they set her up for such success because I was very impressed by like, oh, the leader of the
Right?
quote unquote good movement is a woman. And they also the way they set her up, I'm like, well, she must be the ultra master scanner with like a vision for the future of what scanning could be and how it could live in the world. And they
No.
set it up with so much, and then they're like, she's just mostly going to be very scared and gorgeous
Yes.
during the
And it's
you
also
know
the way she uses scanning is much more passive than the boys.
Mhm.
You
Hmm.
know, like they're like, I don't know, explode each other's brains, make them shoot each other. And she's like, you're just going to cry in the corner.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I really hope I'm described someday as very scared but very gorgeous.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that is
Yeah.
that
on
on
my
your
tombstone.
dating
That's it. Change
profile?
it to my dating profile. That's what I'm gonna do.
Very scared,
Very
very
scared, very
gorgeous.
gorgeous. Ugh. I mean, it's a very like current events status to have. It's like we're
Hmm.
all very scared. We're
Aren't we
beautiful. We're
all?
beautiful, but it's a scary time. Ugh.
So he uses his scanning powers on the gallery owner guy, poor dude, just trying to sell some art to
Right?
basically find out where Benjamin Pierce is. I don't know why Revok has never thought to do this. Like Benjamin Pierce is using his real name to hawk his art. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like you couldn't figure out somebody who knows him and find out where he is.
Well, you kind of get the impression Benjamin Pierce is such a recluse. He's kind of like no, like neither plus nor minus.
Okay.
You know, like you get the like he lives way the fuck out in
Oh.
the which that I was like, if you're a scanner and being around other people makes you crazy, just go live in the country where
Yeah.
there's no people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like go upstate, go to fucking Manitoba.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of Canada where there's no people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
Upstate Canada is real
Up
bleak.
there's a
Upstate.
vast amount of upstate Canada.
There really is.
Yeah. He also, because Rev at the end mentions that all of those steps in between was him kind of guiding Vale's hand.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
maybe he wanted Vale to find Benjamin Pierce
Okay.
first, maybe. I wouldn't know why, but he does make it seem like this was all part of the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a little bit of like who's controlling whomst is controlling whomst in this
Right.
thing, that how much of Cameron's life has been a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which also, okay, a question I had in that specific scene in Pierce's art studio, the people who come with the guns, are these scanners on ephemeral, scanners not on ephemeral but weaker, regular people who are mind tricked into doing this? I couldn't tell.
It's a good question.
I think scanners who work for Revit who are just not as strong as Vale.
Mm,
Yes.
But
cool.
after watching this movie, this is my problem, is that Cameron Vale, we've kind of established him as like needing ephemeral to like just exist in the world
Hmm.
to keep the noise of the voices out. But then he also uses his scanning left, right, and center. But doesn't ephemeral block scanning? And I was like,
Yes.
okay, we've hit a conflict here in the film. You can't, like have your sanity and also scan people all over the goddamn place.
Ephemeral, ephemeral was really hard to pin down exactly what it does, because we're going to learn
Uh-huh.
later that it causes scannerism,
Uh-huh.
but then it limits scannerism, and then does it keep? I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sure what ephemeral does. But that being said, I don't really know what acetaminophen does versus ibuprofen. So
Yeah.
medicine, schmedicine.
That's
Yeah.
real. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's none of our business, I
Right.
guess. Because they do set it up like almost because in the beginning I'm like, oh, it's like ADHD medication. Like if you
Yeah.
have ADHD and you take it, it'll have an effect.
Yes.
If you don't have it, you take it and
It kind of doesn't do
something
anything.
something else happens or nothing. Yeah. And then and so then it's like, oh wait, if you give it to a pregnant person and you inject it into a fetus, then they become a scanner. That's what for a moment I was like, oh, if you do that, if you do it when someone is still a fetus, they turn into a scanner, but if you do it to someone just already an adult in the world, they don't. But then that was also not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Who
know. Ephemeral
knows?
is ephemeral.
It also comes down to like, what do you believe by what character? Because we learn
Mm.
Dr. Ruth is not firing on all cylinders. So the shit he says in
No.
the beginning when he's all Mr. Cool and, confident, we learn by the end, maybe we shouldn't believe everything Dr. Ruth said.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these shotgun killers come for Benjamin Pierce and Cameron, but they really only kill Pierce. They never kill Cameron, and we'll kind of learn that's intentional by Revok later.
Uh-huh.
But they
Yeah.
come in one. Cameron has built a whole like human head
I
the
love this thing.
size of a bathroom
Yeah.
that you can just like it's got like seating inside of it. It's got like
Yeah.
couches and stuff inside
Yeah.
this head that you can hang out. He gets his ass mowed down, and Cameron hauls ass away. Cameron is gonna go later because as Benjamin is dying, Benjamin was like, "Oh, yep, listen,
Kim.
you want Kim Obrist.
Yeah.
There are others." He also refers to them. He's like, Revok's people. They're killers. They're robots. They'll turn you into zombies. So I'm like, oh, you're all over the map with whatever
Yeah.
your horror trope is. He also says robots, which I found endearing.
Robots.
Uh-huh.
Didn't catch that.
Robots.
That's great. Oh my God. Robots.
So he's gonna go see Kim Obrist,
Mm-hmm.
and Connor's mother. I don't know. I don't know who this is. So Kim Obrist is the woman from the gallery, and she's got like a little commune of other like hippie scanners.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh, the hippies
Yeah.
that literally they're so concerned with trying to like communally touch each other with scanning that they fucking forget to lock their front door. I was like, this
Yeah.
safe house is not very safe
No.
if you
And
literally can't lock your front door.
And there's a whole battle in the stairway that they don't catch, which I guess maybe makes sense because they're all doing mind stuff in a group.
Right.
So maybe they
Uh-huh.
just didn't hear that. Yeah, which also sets it up because I was like, oh, now we're going to see what Kim's goal is for the
Yeah.
scanner world, and it's group scanning or whatever that is. But they don't.
Yeah.
They never do it again.
No.
And it's also like it. So we see her. I find interesting because like when we like not when we first see her in the gallery, but when we see her in her safe house, she's kind of like kneeled over somebody who's lying on the couch, and it reminds me of some of the like, some of the like groups that were started in the 60s that kind of like as an alternative to like Alcoholics Anonymous and things like that for like drug and alcohol treatment of like community can help get you through addiction and again of like this idea of talk therapy and things that were like, hey, there's ways that we can like come together and help solve our psychological problems. And I was like, oh, this is really, she's the Professor X of scanners.
Uh-huh.
She's the like, you need some community and some you just need to talk it out, man. You just need a hand to hold and a couch to lay on, and we're going to sober you up and give you some soup. And then you're going to go to group therapy at 3, and then we're going to have a heart circle at 5. And I don't know, then we'll pull out the guitar and tell each other our stories of where we came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the three of us, Robin, Cecil, and me, we are all former active members of the New York Neo-Futurist Performance Art Collective in New York City. And I feel like if we were active once again, I think I would have liked to have brought this group experience to our meetings to where we could all hold hands, sit legs akimbo, and start chanting, beautiful, beautiful and frightening, frightening to lose yourself, to the group self, beautiful and frightening. That's what I think that would have made meetings way better because they were exhausting.
I think that's still kind of what meetings are.
Exactly. Yes.
I think it's that. It also reminded me of every improv. They were doing mind meld.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they were just doing a little improv exercise.
And I will add on to that. To what end?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are And now what? Now we all think the word
Oh,
beautiful.
so now we're okay. So now we have a collective mind.
Hmm.
Cool
Yeah,
that we can do that. But can we like move a Mack truck? Can we
right.
like control 200 people's minds? Like I wanted to see some sort of, and I think maybe Robin, this is to your point of like Kim's character needed to be more. Like
Hmm.
this idea of the like we have the big bad, we have the questionable good, and I think this concept of like the passive good needed to be stronger of like cool if you get 10 scanners that collectively scan together, the risk is greater because they're super vulnerable, but they could, I don't know, fucking lift a building or
Right.
Or
something that
I
is
wanted
like
to see them.
exponentially.
I wanted to see their healing power because it's felt to me
Yes.
like this
Mm-hmm.
was. I think the point of the beautiful and frightening circle thing was to show that, as you said, Cecil, like there is. It's kind of like a hippie commune. Like this is alt
Yeah.
healing,
Yeah.
alternative medicine. This is people who get into like gong baths and Eastern medicine and things
Yeah.
like that. And these sorts of things are
Hey,
really
you
helpful.
keep sound baths out of your mouth because I
No,
fucking
no,
love a sound bath.
no, no, no. And I say that with sincerity. I think these things are very, very good for the right people. And I think that's what Kim is providing. But you're right, it doesn't go far enough. The
Yeah.
question I had was not what can this group do as a group of scanners united? My question was, who's on lookout? Can just one person
Yes.
sit each of these sessions out
Well,
and
there
just
Yeah.
is somebody. Well, there is somebody out in the hallway, but he gets
oh,
overpowered. Like they literally
Really?
throw him over a banister.
he needs a bell or something, I guess is what I'm
Right?
saying.
Well, they need
Little
to lock
alarm
their
bell.
door. They just walked the fuck into that apartment building.
Which again
I,
makes no sense for how they set her up. She is so known. They're like, there's someone else. Her name is Kim. Go to
yeah.
her house. They set her up as if she has some sort of plan.
Uh-huh.
Although, what if that is the commentary of like we should not be trusting, we think we can trust the government, or we think we should, but we shouldn't. Then there is the people who are using their powers for evil. And then there is the people with a lot of potential who are not organized enough. Is
I,
that what
yep.
he's trying to say?
Uh-huh.
I think you hit it. That are like look at the potential of good, but it's unorganized
And they don't
uh
have the resources.
and don't it doesn't have a focus or like cool, but why?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After they
Yeah.
get gunned down in their group, a group
Oh
of
my
them
God.
manage to break away. They hop into their giant yellow van that says school bus on it.
Which I
Cute.
love.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And they light some people on fire, which I was like, ooh,
Oh
new
yeah,
ability
we see
unlocked.
Oh yeah, by pushing them into the wall or so, or
because
like
Kim does that when she
Yeah.
screams. She screams and they blast
yeah,
backwards and burst into
So
flames.
she's got some muscle
Yeah.
yeah,
on her brain.
yeah,
And
muscly brain.
and this bus is they get gunned down. Again, lots of shotguns. All the weapons in this
Yeah.
movie are all shotguns, which I find really interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
As opposed to handguns or rifles or whatever else. And yeah, the everyone but Kim and Cameron die in this bus, and the bus just goes on its side and crashes into a record
Oh
store.
my God. I fucking love this record store. I mean, one, just seeing a bus crash into a record store, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the song you requested?
What's that? The
What was the
Oh
song you
yeah, because you're in the
what was
store,
the
like
artist you
oh
requested on your radio show?
Oh, Tevin Campbell was the
I
number
mean,
one. Yeah.
maybe there was a Tevin Campbell
It
record in
was
there.
Neil Young was the front and center album after the
I mean,
crash. And I think
absolutely,
he
there's a
was
Neil
next to
Young
like
record in there.
classical music. It was like Tchaikovsky and Neil
Oh,
Young. Yeah.
oh my god. Also, what an interesting so this insane tragedy happens. The police seems to be there right away, and then truly a group of 15 civilians who are like, let me get in there and look.
I
So
know.
what an interesting response. I understand the like bystander effect of like I'm gonna stay and look, but the fact that 15 people were like, let me walk in and can I see if I can get in there and really
Get
look?
right up in it.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. But one
wild.
of them is the scanner, and he managed. I think he just sets the whole thing on fire because it bursts into flames when he walks by it.
I think it's just going on. I think
It's
it's
just
just
go.
happening. And
Okay.
he's just
Yeah,
unafraid of it because he's on
Yeah.
the hunt.
that's right. He has a mission.
And he's gonna track down, he's scanning this building and knows that upstairs Kim and Cameron are up there, and he tracks them down. Again, like, can you have ability as a scanner just to kind of have a general sense of, is anyone encroaching on my circle within 20 feet? Because this guy gets right up behind them.
In acting school, we called it soft focus.
Oh,
Just be generally aware. Like you don't have to laser focus, just soft focus about what's happening sort of around you.
hmm.
Especially if people with shotguns are coming after you, just generally have an awareness of what's going on around you.
Always helpful. Always
Yeah.
helpful. And then also, what was I gonna say? Kim and Cam, that was an interesting moment down there as well. It's also interesting that they have like there's not even like, there's no romance, but there is like, they give us a seed of like, they could be something one
Uh-huh.
day,
Yeah.
maybe.
No time for it now. We're
Yeah,
we're we're,
Yeah.
we're a little.
not right now.
Yeah, this would be a bad time for Cameron to make a move. I'm no expert on good pickup lines or how to move in on a relationship, but like right after like five of your friends get gunned down in your apartment,
And you
don't ask her out,
and
is
you
what I'm
literally
saying.
just said the line, now I know what it feels like to die.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's hot though.
Do you
That's
do you
Yeah.
want to do you want to do you want to kiss? Do you want to kiss to make it better?
You'd be like,
Do you
Kim,
want to
your
put your
eye
head on my
makeup looks
shoulder?
gorgeous. Yeah.
so
So,
Wait, what
us?
yeah,
are we?
What are we?
What is this?
you're pretty.
This is where I'm not going to give dating advice, but I will give assassin advice.
Okay.
I've never
Good.
been an assassin, but I think I'm a good solid armchair assassin from watching a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Mm-hmm.
movies that involve
Mhm.
assassins. Cock your gun
Oh my
before
God.
you surprise kill people, because he waits till the last second. It's like, oh shit. And then they both turn and blast his fucking mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cock your gun first.
Yeah.
that's
Go
good
in
advice.
hot.
If you're an assassin and you're listening to this, don't forget.
Leave a
If
comment
you're
on our
Tom
Patreon.
Brady and you listen to this,
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me if you think I would still be made for. Could I play in the NFL, Tom?
yeah.
Just let me know on our Patreon.
Send an email. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, they use their scanning powers to have this guy reveal that he's got a thing of ephemeral in a little vial, but it's got the logo of a company on it. So it's like, oh,
Oh,
the mass production
a
of this
clue.
stuff. And
Mhm.
that company is biocarbon amalgamate. And is there
I
a
love
more
it.
evil sounding company
Like
name?
so generic, so evil. They could make anything.
Anything.
One of our biggest producers of nuclear warheads and drones is called Honeywell. They had the decency to have an adorable name.
Yeah.
Yeah. What should they have called this? Bubbles?
But
Bubble Town?
Bubble snacks with an X.
Yeah.
Time for your bubble snacks.
Oh my God.
Although,
QP
admittedly,
Inc.
ephemeral is kind of like ephemeral kind of slaps as a name.
It
Yeah, that's
does.
cute. It sounds like a party drug.
Absolutely. I kept thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
Or-
oh my God, just one dose of ephemeral. It's 2 o'clock. I mean, we'll be fine in the
Why
morning.
not? Let's go lie on the grass on ephemeral and
Yeah.
look at the clouds. I say this, utterly afraid of drugs, almost never do one. Talk about it as if I
Do you
But
guys have?
ephemeral, it'd be fine.
Yeah, do it in a
Is
second.
anybody carrying any F? Who's got the F on them?
Any
Okay.
Femi?
Ephemer. Are you ephemer?
Okay, so they sneak into biocarbon amalgamate headquarters, find
Mhm.
out a couple things. One, Daryl Revick is up there just in a business suit signing uh, PO sheets or
Right?
whatever, like he's signing some guy's like time off
No, I
requests.
love it. Like assassin by night, total just corporate
Mid,
monkey
Admin.
by day.
yep.
Yeah. Which just made me go, Dr. Ruth, did you really not know where your son was? You didn't
Right?
realize that your son is the head of the company that you invented and
Started?
sold? Yeah, and buy the drugs from? How's that
Yeah.
possible?
I get the sense Dr. Ruth has a lot of unprocessed trauma and has repressed so much information.
Repressed a lot, and he's also like he's been hanging out in his little Scanner Meisner studio in the
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
attic of, you know, wherever. Like he has no fucking clue what's going on in the larger scheme of things.
I remember
Yeah.
years and years ago the when George W. Bush in his retirement took up painting.
Yeah,
And I was with a
Oh,
friend of mine, I was with another like theater friend of mine, Vinny, and Vinny was like, those are the paintings of a man who has repressed that he did war crimes.
yeah,
Those are the paintings of a man of
yeah.
unprocessed trauma. And I'm like, oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought about that conversation with Vinny when I was watching how Dr. Ruth's behavior goes
yeah.
down in this movie.
Because Dr. Ruth is like, we have no idea where scanners come from. It could be they dropped out of the sky.
Hmm.
I don't know. Oh, look, a bird.
Yeah. Wait. Also very that then reminds me of what's her name? Elizabeth Holmes with just like an invention and then fully just like lying to the world about what it is, what it can do, casually forgetting some main elements of it and just being like, I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I invented it, but I don't remember.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yeah. Who even
Yeah.
knows? Who knows what it could? Yeah. And he totally like he sold this dangerous chemical to
Yeah.
a weapons manufacturing
Uh-huh.
interest and then is
Yep.
like, my hands are clean. Like
Do what you
what did I
want.
do? I don't control it. I just sold it to people. Who knows what they
Do
did?
what you want.
Yep.
I'm just going to keep doing the deep science research side of it just because
Uh-huh.
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's my passion. Yeah.
I like numbers and science.
Yeah.
So him and Cameron contact uh they contact Dr. Ruth and want to come back in because they have learned that there's a thing called the RIPE program run by biocarbon amalgamate, which is owned by Consec, which means that Revik is basically a Consec employee or affiliate owner. We don't even know what his job is. Like, I don't,
The
he could
call is
be,
coming from inside the corporate house.
yeah.
Hmm. Symbolic.
But Keller, they don't know. Ruth doesn't know that Keller is the insider, informant, double spy. And Keller does the classic trick of like separate the witnesses. So he
Hmm.
gets those two separated. Ruth
Mhm.
gets to talk to Cameron Vale, but it's Keller that tries to take down uh, Kim. The one thing they have going for them is that Ruth knew enough to give them fake ephemeral injections when they came in, just to make sure they
Yes.
could defend themselves.
Yeah.
Ally. Yes.
Ally.
That's ally
And
energy.
I love it when Cameron Vale is like, "Why'd you do that?" And Dr. Ruth is like, "I'm playing my own game." I was like,
I'm
Oh.
crazy.
"Yikes!"
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Kim, Kim, Kim turns the tables on Keller because Keller is just trying to get all the information out of her, and he is absolutely planning to kill her. He draws the gun on her. She won't talk. He's like, "Well, goodbye, Mrs. Oberst," and she fries his brains
She scans him up and down,
enough to like
Classic.
knock the gun out of his hand, and he falls over. I'm like, Kim,
but not enough to like do any
take
real
the gun,
damage. Yeah.
take the fucking gun.
Like it makes his like you hear a bubbling sound, but kind of not. Again, but she gets
Hippies,
away. I know
yeah.
the hippies. She's like, ah,
I'm a
Uh,
pacifist. I don't
here, I'm
want
going
to
to
do
throw
that.
this flower at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to put this flower into your rifle.
Consider
That should
peace.
stop you.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Kim. It's like, Kim, I wish so much more for you.
yeah.
But okay, she had to go.
She gets free.
Yeah.
And it's Keller's. There's a giant red button on the
I
wall that just
fucking
says
love it.
alarm.
I
Yes.
love it. That just
Perfect.
says alarm.
You know what? Time for me to press this. Really good.
Like, what is it that you all are making that you just have giant red buttons inside interrogation rooms that have giant alarm buttons? Maybe
Really
you
good.
are bad people.
Uh-huh.
And
Maybe.
the camera system is in the interrogation room where he's like,
Right.
let me quickly turn off all the cameras, which I can do
Like
from
the
here.
fact that there's
Oh, that was so
no
good.
I have problems with y'all's security codes.
Very trusting. But also just in general, I do really appreciate it when a movie is like, I just want to show you what this computer does. I'm not gonna make it look more complex because all the computer stuff was also like, do you want access? Question mark. And the
Yes,
person
I
would
know,
type
right?
like,
Access
hi,
right
I'm
program?
Cameron. Can I go in?
Yes.
No, not you right now, but other computer. It's a little conversation.
Yes, I would.
It was
You
great.
Oh,
I
are.
was like, I understand this.
I hope this login finds you well. I
Yeah. Hey.
so they Cameron's like, I gotta go find. The alarm goes off. He's like, I gotta find Kim. That's the most important thing. And so he runs
Mhm.
off to go find Kim. And this is when
Dr.
Dr.
Ruth.
Ruth. Oh, Ruth does tell him before he runs off, hey, the whole point of scanning is it's not just mind reading, it's about the joining of two nervous systems. So if you're trying to
Yeah.
get access to the computer, you can just scan it because you have a nervous system. You know what else does?
No,
A computer. I'm like,
no,
wait, hang on. I have a
no,
question.
no, no,
Dr. Ruth, I have a question.
no, no,
How did computer work?
That's
no.
that's where I went to school for musical theater because I listened to that line and I was like, yeah.
Robin, you're just like, uh-huh. Yep.
I was like, okay, yeah, a computer, I guess a computer could have anxiety and could have a nervous
Uh-huh.
system that like, why not?
They get
Like, I guess,
viruses.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Like, sure.
God.
And you can do that through a phone booth? Sure.
Yeah, just through a dial-up.
You can log in with your mind.
You know,
No worries.
it's like he's sneezing on the computer through the phone to give it a
Amazing.
virus and suck out its information.
Yeah.
I
I was like,
I I was
sure.
like, I call a red flag on this one
Uh-huh.
here. I know we have to. I was like, what? Couldn't we just go to the main control room? No, okay. No, we got because we need to make computers explode here in a minute.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. I don't think this is quite as bonkers as Dr. Ruth having just an internal monologue
Yeah.
about the ripe
Yeah.
program. Access the past mustn't happen again. Ripe indeed. The ripe program must be stopped. And then he shouts that out loud. And that basically draws the attention of Keller. He's like, what's happening over here? Oh, he's losing his mind. I should probably just
Yeah.
keep
He's
You
talking
know
about the
what?
right program. Must assassinate him. Not going to bring that up at the next board meeting.
Yeah. 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 Also, how beautiful how he just happened to walk by, just in the door, being like, oh, it's this guy. Hey, it's Dr. Ruth.
Gun drawn.
Hold on. Perfect.
like I rank this above zapping a computer with your mind through a payphone and
Uh-huh.
exploding a man's head in a conference room. I rank those two things below Dr. Ruth's like monologue about the right program here. Like that's the craziest scene in this whole
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like backstory, plot development, mental breakdown monologue that leads to your demise and gives the bad guy cause to kill you.
Uh-huh.
That's a lot. That's a heavy lift, you
It
know?
A
really
lot.
is. Good job on this actor for making it through this scene.
Yes.
I went through his wiki. I was like, now what's up with this guy? And he has such a classic, like, old Hollywood story in terms of how he started in the
Oh.
theater was that he just had a bunch of random jobs and then at a certain point worked as a stagehand. And then it was just one of those nights where it was like, the lead actor is sick. And him being like, I can do it. And
Oh, I
then
love
bam,
it.
was on the scene.
Love it.
Wow.
Gorgeous. Yep. I do wish that before his death, maybe not like a full reveal, but I wish there was a moment with him and Cameron where he maybe would grab Cameron by the shoulders and be like, I have to tell you something. And then it's like, I'm your, never mind. I have to now go into this.
Yeah. I'm your
Maybe slightly,
father, Luke.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Just like, hey, or even just like, I never noticed. We have the
You
same
have your
eyes.
mother's eyes.
Exactly. Exactly. Just like when you
I
smile like that.
scanned them myself.
Yeah. Just a quick moment of like, oh, because that also they don't Cameron has no memories of his childhood
No,
whatsoever.
No,
They don't go into like
nope.
who did that and when.
no.
But okay, it's not important. It's not
Speaking
that's
of
not the point right now.
mom, speaking of mothers,
Oh my God.
Cameron and Kim get trapped by a couple of security guards who have the directive from Keller to kill them on sight, but they scan these two boys to stop them. And what happens is one of them sees his mother and starts
Yeah.
crying
I'm sorry,
uncontrollably.
Mom.
I
I'm sorry,
didn't mean
Mom.
it. And I'm like, what happened in your life?
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
shoot you, Mom, but now I'm sorry. And the other guy, we just find him later and he's like, there's blood on my hands. There's blood on my hands.
Yeah. He's just shocked. General shock. Yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
so good. But they race out of there. They steal a black car because it's got the license plate that has the Consec logo on it. They
Love it.
drive to a local Texaco and get on a payphone. And they're like, yeah, let's log in. This is
Let
so
me
Matthew
log
Broderick
let me
War
let
Games.
me
Yeah.
log into the World Wide Web via the internets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I'm in.
I did it. Yeah. Also, like, no, just like you grab any phone and you go, the computer for the ride program. Got it. I'm in. It's just
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
technology at this time was vastly different.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
there were hacks you could do where you could like record the tones of sounds that the phones make and it would just make collect calls for you.
Yeah. It's
Maybe we
amazing.
could, maybe this all makes more sense if we just assume like in that town, there was one computer and it was the computer for the ride program and no one else has one.
If like if like Consec owns like everything.
Yeah. So the login is very easy because it's the only one you can log into anyway.
Yeah. Because if this is like 40, 20, 30 years later, he's going to get a phone tree. He's going to be on there forever. Just press zero. Just press zero to get to an
Yeah,
operator.
You
Just
have
press
exactly.
reached the
zero.
Consec main line.
He's gonna have to like
To
mentally
speak with
battle an
marketing,
AI.
please press
Yeah.
1.
He's like, mainframe, mainframe.
Please.
To speak with accounting, please press 2.
So
Yeah.
he's logging
jacked
into the
in.
computer, and Keller is finding out from his IT department, hey, we're completely blocked from access here. Somebody is in the machine, and is he erasing data or is he memorizing this
I
data?
think
What
he's
is he
like
doing?
downloading it. So
Okay.
he's like he's like memorizing it.
Okay.
Is what I understood.
That's a
He's
cool
like
trick.
because like the right program is the names of all these people that have been given ephemeral when they were little teeny tiny babies.
Yes.
Mhm.
And he's just like memorizing that Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
Yeah. Just downloading. Very interesting vibe of the computer crew there. Because they were especially the guy who was like, don't worry, it's just a computer. It's not gonna do anything. He did it with such an energy where I was like, okay, and who are you? What's your little plan?
Like I feel like maybe if this was not a David Cronenberg film, which everything is kind of serious, like David Cronenberg doesn't really do laughs. But if this had been, let's say, like a Steven Spielberg film, this would have been like the funniest fucking scene.
Yes.
You know,
Totally.
like these guys would have been like the ultimate tech nerds.
Mm-hmm.
And then can you imagine like the head of security comes in and starts waving a gun around, being like, access this or I'm going to shoot you in the face. And you're like,
I'm an intern.
Did the board of directors consult you on this?
Yeah. Yeah. Also interesting that they're like, we can't do anything about it except we can do the thing where we delete everything altogether. That we can do.
We can just kill everything. So like,
Yeah.
okay, so there's a guy who's stealing one piece of information that affects one part of one area of a multinational conglomerate weapons manufacturer. weighed against every piece of information that this entire computer system has, that this entire multinational, multi-conglomerate corporation does.
Yep.
Also, he is also basically just he's stealing their contacts list.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, now you know my friend's birthdays. Like, I don't know. Like, what? Like, he has no. It's not like he got their credit card data. It's not like he got their Apple
It's
Pay.
well, the
It's
thing, it's the corporate espionage that will then lead to why ephemeral was invented, which will make them look bad. Yo, y'all invented
Mm,
napalm. I
yeah,
think you already kind of look bad.
yeah,
yeah,
there's some other
You're gonna
stuff.
spin this if whenever this comes out, you're gonna spin it some kind of way anyway.
yeah.
Hmm.
What I really think is very telling is the way Keller phrases it to the computer nerds. He's like, Cameron Vale is logged into the computer. He's stealing our information. I want to hurt him as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
How can we hurt him? So
Hmm.
it is it really is kind of a dick measuring contest, which I think goes back to this Cold War kind of thing of escalation
Yeah.
of
Yep.
they're going to hurt me. I'm going to hurt them bigger.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you try to find out the truth? I'm going to hit you with a bigger stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that being the only goal, being like everything else, burn it all down. I
Yeah.
just want to
And
win
yeah,
now.
and I'm willing to burn down the house in order to hurt you.
Hmm.
Well, the battle between the computer getting shut down and it's frying Cameron's ears in the phone, but he fights it back and causes that whole computer lab to explode. Everybody in
Yay.
that computer lab, including Keller, is dead.
Yep.
I feel bad for those guys. I mean, again, they were
Yeah.
kind of working for, you know,
Yeah.
BlackRock
Complicit.
Securities or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And
they were just
also
following orders.
it causes the wiring above his head, the electrical wiring to short circuit, which then sets the gas station on fire and blows up his just
Yeah.
the
Cool.
blowing up of things.
Yeah, I know.
Thumbs
That
Yeah.
up.
phone melts.
Uh-huh.
I love a
Very
melting
graphic.
phone.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. At this point, it's like, let's just explode a bunch of stuff. We're escalating.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of brief investigative thing where they confront a doctor, like a local GP, and
Oh, yeah.
essentially what they've realized here is they've been injecting. Cameron is like the right program is using ephemeral on fetuses to make brand new scanners. So they are
Yes.
building an army. So the whole
Yes.
Consec Revok thing that's what's going on.
We'll build an army of scanners.
Right.
Now here's my thing. My thought, if I'm Revok, I'm like, let's get rid of scanners because I can do so much more if it's just me. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like if I'm the only one with them, what if I killed all the scanners and then I'm the only scanner left?
Yeah.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. I
Let's
don't want to be in
gatekeep it.
charge of things. I want to go do whatever I want.
Well,
Who
he's
wants to
going
be in
full
charge of shit?
well, he's going full Magneto. He's
Yeah, I
going
guess so.
we're the next evolutionary thing. We're
Mm.
meant to rule over people. People
Yeah.
are just so last generation.
And
I'm just
maybe
more of
maybe wanting to fill some like loneliness or something from childhood, being
Maybe.
like, I want everyone to be like me. I want
Yeah.
not me to be normal.
Yeah. Well, that's the situation we're in, but upon learning this, both of them get fucking darted and they wake
Oh
up in
yeah.
Revok's office. Separate. She's just asleep. We're not going to see her again for
Yeah, that's
until the
enough of
very end.
Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough.
Not till the very end.
Yeah. Wait, also the pregnant woman in the office, sorry for going back to that, but also
Please.
again, very eerie. I was like, because again, she also seemed like she had some sort of information, but I think that was just an acting choice because we never see her again.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Also, I loved what did make me laugh was the doctor being like, read a magazine and walk out the office.
Yeah, I know,
And
right?
the guy just being like, hello.
Get out of here. What about this? Yeah. I gotta go talk
Okay,
to this
yeah.
guy
I actually
real
have to
quick.
leave right now. Yeah.
This could be bad.
But okay, they're in the office Yes.
And
Kansas City.
Revok,
This corporate office,
yes.
80s or like late 70s, early 80s corporate is fucking wild to me.
Hmm.
Like
Amazing.
all the low furniture that is
Yes.
like kind of like everything looks dangerous to me.
Yep. Carpet, the dark colors. Yep. It
It's
didn't really go like, oh, Revok has a kind of like he built himself kind of a nice life. He did a good job.
Yeah.
yeah.
Given what he went through, seems like he's set himself up for success.
Well, he's trying to recruit Cameron. And
Hmm.
he's like, I'm the only one who's ever tried to help you. I spent years looking for you. You remember anything about your childhood, dude? And he's like, nope. You remember your mom? You remember your dad? Nope. And he's like, that's because you were like, they put you on ice. You were not just like a homeless guy who just, drifted away from your upbringing. They were always tracking you. They turned you loose to see what you would do. And when they needed you, they would pull you back out. And that's what they did. Dr. Ruth is your dad, and he's my dad.
And
Here,
he gave
look at
our
this Time
mom,
Life magazine.
yeah, here.
Yeah.
Oh, this Norman Rockwell. And they gave our mom ephemeral, but it was the like super good uncut stuff, which is why we're really strong and everybody else kind of sucks.
And then they kept giving it to us as kids, right?
Yes.
Because then they also kept doing it.
Yeah.
But they
Fascinating.
stopped with the general public.
Yeah.
So that's why there are some scanners out in the world, but we're the like, we got the strong
With
shit.
OGs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we're the oldest ones, because we were brought that he tested Dr. Ruth tested his experimental drug on his pregnant wife.
Yeah. Cool guy.
Questionable.
I think it's fine.
He's very, here, try this, honey.
I'm not worried about that. Yeah, and now they're the oldest ones at the old age of 35.
I
Right.
know.
Ancient.
I do kind of wish this had been like cast differently.
Yeah.
Like if all the other scanners had been like in their 20s
Mm-hmm.
and these guys had been in their like noticeably like late 30s, early 40s then.
Right.
But
Right.
you get what it's also the 70s where kind of everybody looks a little bit older.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Uh-huh.
once you're 21,
Yeah.
you're just adult age, looks wise.
Yeah. Everyone just looks adult generically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Canadian adult.
Canadian.
Canadian adult seeks other.
Yeah.
So he's like Ravika's basically saying the same thing that I think we were all sort of vaguely aware of early on, which was you're not working for the good guys per se. Not that he's selling himself as, I mean, he's trying to sell himself as the good guy, but in this Magneto sort of way, like we are owed this. We are mutants. Like we deserve this world because we've been treated so poorly by the human people and the military industrial complex.
That we
And
own.
what?
That we now work for and own.
That we now work for
Yeah.
and own.
By the way, it's kind of the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, but wow, what a fascinating little comment on capitalism of like you think as a consumer you think you have a choice, but actually the alternate company is still within the umbrella of the other.
Yeah.
It's all the same anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I always think about that when people are just like, for various different reasons, when they're like, I don't agree with this company's politics, boycott company X.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like, I'm going to start using this. I'm like, did you research that company?
Yeah, it's like
How
it's
far
the
did you
same
research
guy.
that company?
Yeah.
Oh, look, they're sort of the same.
Yep.
Almost every conglomerate, almost every giant
goes back to, like,
corporation that
seven-
manufactures
oh,
a
it goes back to,
thing
like, 7
make
companies,
their
right?
money off of arms,
Yeah.
off of
Yeah.
weapons. I
Yeah.
forget one of the big publishing houses is essentially like where they make their money is arms manufacturing. Ball jars. If you ever own a ball jar,
Yes.
the ball company doesn't make those anymore. They
Oh.
license out the name for a couple of dollars, but what they make their name in is drone manufacture and satellites for nuclear weapons.
But they're so good to make pickles.
I know, they're so great.
And when you make iced tea in them, it's so quaint.
You remember Saab, the car that was really
Yeah, of
big in the
course.
70s and 80s?
yeah.
Well, they stopped manufacturing cars in the 2000s. They didn't go out of business. They just were like, we're not making as much money off the cars as we are the missiles. So let's keep making the missiles. So
Cool.
Saab makes really like cute looking missiles now instead of cute looking
Oh,
cars.
fun.
Cool
Yeah.
and
A nice.
awesome.
Cool and awesome.
You do
But yeah,
you.
you're right, Robin. Like that's the thing of like you think you have a choice. Like, oh, here's the left side, here's the right side. We can choose between the two, and you're like, they're all kind of under the same
Yeah.
system, I guess.
Or their goal of just like having all the wealth is the same.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same, and
It's
they're going to
maybe
use
how
the
they
same
go
tools.
about doing it
Yes,
is
exactly.
slightly different. But
Yes.
the end game might kind of be the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, playing the same game.
Yeah.
Wow,
So-
and then they have the most beautiful battle
Holy fuck.
Mind battle.
in the world.
So Revok tells him, I'm going to, if you're, oh, right, you're going to, his camera starts by knocking him upside the head with
Yeah.
this like very 70s looking art
my
object
God,
on
yeah.
his desk.
Oh
And-
yeah,
Terracotta
that
fight.
he's just holding in full
Yeah.
view. And Revok is still like, I'm gonna kneel down in front of you right now.
Well, he doesn't know yet.
Like, this is
Yeah.
my brother. Come
Yeah,
on.
That's right.
I mean, it's the classic like join me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's very Darth Vader. In fact, I don't even think Empire Strikes Back has come out yet at this point in 1981.
This was like filmed in 79.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's like, fine, you wanna do mind battle? Let's go, motherfucker.
Oh, fuck.
And he says,
Holy
I'm
shit.
basically, I could have just killed you, but now, since I'm gonna scan you to death, that means I can absorb you,
Yeah.
and you're gonna just
Yeah.
live forever inside of me.
I love it. It's like, we're going to do this the scanner way.
That's right. We're gonna keep it in the family.
Do do
Uh-huh.
do 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 do. Scanners. Scanners. Do 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 do.
Damn, I wish I was in that. I wish that was the opening.
Huh?
If it was West Side Story, but with Scanners.
Yeah,
Steven
or just a
Sondheim's-
little song.
Scanners the musical.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, we get mind fighting,
Oh,
and it
God.
turns into veins growing through Cameron's arms and face. Same on
gross.
Revok, and the like blood is like squeaking
I
out.
know.
Really good.
And then like Cameron's like it looks like
Oh my God.
like Pepto-Bismol. No, like what what do you drop in the plop plop fizz fizz?
Oh, Alka-Seltzer.
Like his heart is
Yeah.
being Alka-Seltzered.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's not good. He's clearly losing this battle.
So that's an issue.
That's
in all,
that's
That's concerning.
we have some hardcore mainframe maintenance issues we have to worry about here.
Right.
Oh my God, the grabbing of the flesh.
I know.
When flesh becomes slime, that's when they get me.
Uh-huh.
That's when I have to briefly look away and then
Yeah.
immediately look back and see what else turns into slime.
Yeah. Because this movie, like, we got here by rolling telekinesis or paranormal, which, hey, definitely check. And splatter, and like, listen, we're getting our money's worth here.
Yeah.
But it's not a very gory film.
No,
Like,
they,
it
they
has-
open and close it with it. But
That's it. It's like, it's really concentrated bursts.
yeah.
And then everything, it's like you're only going to see it once in the beginning. And then you're going to get a whole lot of spy versus spy. And then just wait. I think like literally, Jeffrey, I was like, oh, you've never seen Scanners? Just wait till the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cameron starts peeling skin away from his face. He's looking really defeated, but then we get
I also would be like, damn, all the parts of my face.
I know.
I would feel-
Microdermabrasion done me
You
wrong.
Come on.
but then
But
we
then he
hear
pulls-
that
but he
high
gets
pitched
very-
whine.
Yeah. And he
high-pitched
gets
whine
very
starts.
like alchemist. I don't know. Like he gets kind of very like Zen Buddhist and like flame lights in his palms.
It's
Mhm.
it's Dieter Touts taught him Kundalini
Right?
yoga, and he
Dieter.
can
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Dieter Touts.
He's like doing his kegels,
Exactly.
clenching and unclenching, lighting that fire, getting that.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Exactly.
But yeah, flames shoot up out of his hands and
Yeah.
Cameron's hands, and then his Cameron's eyeballs explode.
Fuck yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Entire body
Unfortunate once
catches on
again.
fire.
Yeah.
And
So that's not good for him.
Again,
Revok's
another
eyes go
issue.
white, and he's screaming in
Iconic.
slow-mo.
Yeah.
This is fucking iconic.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's a combination of like it's the image. It's also like just like Michael Ironsides. It's like the way his face is built.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And it's something about those white eyes. Like I don't know. This to me is like iconic images of 80s horror.
Iconic.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Let's just sit with that for a moment. But I think there's also, this is one of those things where it's like, in my opinion, I think it looks better or more effective because it's real, because you can see that's just a giant contact lens they've given him instead of a very cool CGI thing. I think it's more, I think we as human, we can still like subconsciously recognize when something is computer generated. And I think our system is like this, but this is real. This is what he looked like in that moment on set.
Yeah.
Like
effective.
AI and CGI, it's just too shiny. It doesn't reflect light the same way things that have weight and mass do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Kim wakes up in the other room on the couch.
Kim.
She's
hours
hungry.
later.
She's tired. It's a long day, though, to be fair to Kim.
That's true.
Need a glass of milk.
And probably in her
tired.
commune, the work days are probably shorter because they have like a more communist setup. So she's like, I'm not used to doing like a whole day of this.
And she walks into the other room and we see Cameron's just charred ass body on the ground,
which looks very similar to the art
yes,
we saw in the gallery.
You're
I'd
right.
like to point out.
Wow.
You're right.
Well done. So true.
And then we hear Kim. She's like, Cameron? He's like, yeah, it's me. It's me. I'm Cameron. I'm here. Mark
I'm
Wahlberg.
totally Cameron. I'm totally Cameron.
I'm here. It's
I'm
me.
your best friend, right?
And then we see him turn around, but it is Revok. Cameron has somehow managed to take over Revok's body entirely.
And he's got green eyes. I don't know if he had green eyes before, but Cameron had green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim, we've won. The end.
Did you?
I guess.
Which is where I wonder, maybe this is just me getting confused towards the end. I had to look up if this was Cameron surviving and winning and ending up in Revok's body, or Revok doing some sort of mind trick, still surviving, but making Kim think he's Cameron. I was like, wait, who won? But
I think that's that absolutely could be a read. I mean, I think, I think Cameron knew his body was failing when he started peeling the fucking goop off his face. And so he's like, I'm going to ditch the corporeal body, swippy swap, Freaky Friday. I'm going to take this body, put Daryl in mine. You want this body here, and then let that body die.
Yeah. I think
that's interesting. I mean, but maybe he is pulling a mind game on Kim.
Interesting. Well, shall we rate this film, y'all?
Yes, let's.
Yes.
All right, so we'll start with approachability. If you're horror squeamish, how approachable is this movie? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being like the least approachable and 10 being super approachable for the horror-averse, let me give Scanners like 4 out of 10 ceramic death sculptures. I don't think this is quite as gruesome body horror-y as Cronenberg's other movies that we've seen, but listen, when it gets to the bursts of splatter, it gets to the bursts of splatter, and I was real like queasy watching this final battle with all the veins growing and squidding and squirting. Ugh. It's all a matter of how well you deal with practical effect, blood and not quite gore, but blood and splatter shit. So yeah, let's say approachability 4 out of 10. Ceramic death sculptures, content warnings for the splatter, for suicide. There you go. Cecil, speak nothing of approachability. How do you rate this as a horror film?
As a horror film, I think this is a pretty good one. I will say, I think this one lays the tracks for a lot of what might come later in other Cronenberg that's a little bit scarier. This to me is more sci-fi spy movie rather than
Mhm.
horror. But like you said, when it gets there, it's pretty dope. So I think 4 out of 10 dolphins with lasers.
Great. Hold on 2 seconds here. Apologize. Robin, what do you think? Do you have anything you want to rate this movie on?
Yes. Okay, Cecil, you kind of foreshadowed it earlier, but I would like to rate this um on the scale of can it be a musical, yes or no? And I'm gonna do it out of 1 through 10 Patty LaPones.
Yes.
And I think we already kind of showed each other that it very much can, right? Like Cecil already composed a song. There are beautiful choreo moments. We already know there's a giant ensemble of corporate looking people who can do beautiful dancing. There's a love story. There's an I Want song in the beginning of Cameron being like, I wish I wasn't living in the mall, is what I
Oh
think how
yeah, the
it would
patter
begin.
song would be amazing.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm going to give it 6.5 Patty LuPones
Oh,
for Can It Be a
perfect.
Musical?
I feel like this is made for Frank Wildhorn, who did the Jekyll and Hyde musical. I think
Oh,
Yes.
that level of like
okay.
melodramatic music
Yes.
would be so
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Yeah, both of them standing on a balcony, Kim being like, I'm
S-
Kim. We haven't given, again, she doesn't have much character right now, so her lyrics are only, I'm Kim.
That's her
And
song.
my
That's
name is Kim.
Kim is my name.
Yeah. What was
Baby,
I called?
remember my name.
Kim. Exactly.
the chorus is just like a bunch of like hippie scanners holding hands, just going, Kim.
We love Kim.
Well, that's the act one closer of everyone is
That's
singing a
right.
Yes.
little thing of like Revok being like,
And
gotta
then
find
they
this
burst into
guy.
fire.
Yeah, exactly. And the end is just, and I'm Kim.
Y'all, somebody get on this shit.
I think it would be great.
Let's figure out what movie we are going to watch next. Cecil, you've got a scare die. I've got a style die. We will roll those up and see what movie matches those two things. So on your scare die, Cecil, if you roll a 1, our next movie scare is Animal. 2, Contagion. 3, Wild Card. 4, Alien. 5, something paranormal. Or 6, Psycho Killer.
Nope. That's a 3.
After 14 weeks, we finally got that wild card, Cecil.
Wild card.
Okay, so we're gonna pick. We get to pick our movie based off of whatever style I roll. So, style 1, if I roll a 1, it's got to be a movie based on a book. 2, it's got to have a one-word title. 3, it's got to be a foreign language film, not English. 4, it's got to be set in New York, New York. 5, something from the 2000s. 6, an anthology film. Let's see what we got for our wild card. 6, anthology film, Cecil. Wild
Oh,
card. So we just the newest thing on our list and the oldest thing on our list just
all
got
right.
picked. Well, this will be quick because we don't keep these on Letterboxd, but we do have a Letterboxd account at Random Horror 9. So if you follow us there, you'll see our lists and it shows all the possible matchups. Since the wild card is me and Cecil's choice, we'll roll up from what we've picked here. Uh, don't have those there, but let's talk about the movies that we picked. And Robin, I don't know if you have any anthology horror movies in mind, but Cecil and I are going to name the movies we picked for this list. But if you have others, let us know. It's always nice to have the guests' input.
Cool. Okay.
Cecil, what did you put on your list?
So the first one, I love this podcast because I am constantly discovering films that I've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
That when I discover them, I'm like, how the fuck have I never heard of this? And the first one I put on here is a film called Body Bags, which is a 1993 film featuring 3 different short films, directed by John Carpenter, including one written by Toby Hooper. I was
Wow.
like, oh my goodness, never heard of it. The second one I put on here is called Fears of the Dark, which is, I believe, all animated. They're all animated short films
Mm-hmm.
with a sort of international flair, which means they're from all over the world.
Right, right.
I don't know. But yeah, I've seen this one before, but it's been quite a while. And I remember it's got some like really different styles of animation and different styles of horror. I remember really liking it. And then the final one I put on here is one of the reasons that I have started this podcast is one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's one of the ultimate horror film anthologies, and that is the movie Kwai-Dan, which is a few Japanese ghost stories in
Mm,
glorious, beautiful Technicolor.
I love that. I put three on here. One is Trick or Treat.
Ooh.
We're past the Halloween season, but listen, spooky season is year round. And yeah, Trick or Treat is kind of a night in a town on Halloween. There's kind of an overarching big story, but it is a series of vignettes of other stories happening. We also have, I put on here Creep Show.
Show.
Classic, absolute classic. Stephen King in his
Yeah.
most wild times in the
Yeah.
early 80s.
Unhinged Stephen King days.
And then finally, one that I've never seen, which is just like the 1970s original Tales from the Crypt.
This is the British Tales from the
Yeah,
Crypt, right?
I believe so. Like the 1972. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. This has got some this has got some good shit in it.
Yeah, I was like it's classic. It's referenced a lot. I feel like it's something I should have seen, and I always like our 70s horror times. Those are always good. Robin, those are the ones we picked. So normally what we do is since 3 and 3, that gives us a 6, we can just roll a die and randomly pull from there. But can you think of any like anthology horror stuff we're missing that we should consider?
No.
You like all of those?
This all sounds so cool. Yeah, there's actually in terms of anthology, I don't think I know of anything else. Yeah, I have nothing
There's
to add. All
there's
six
all
of
of the
these sound
VHS
really exciting.
series, which I think we covered VHS 1 for this show. There's a new one, VHS Beyond, which is on Shutter right now. Which
Um,
I'm getting facial expressions at me now. Um, yeah, I think these are really, really solid. So
mhm.
it's my roll now. I think
I
my
think
turn to
so.
roll this one.
I
So
can never remember.
here's how it works. If I roll a 1, it's going to be Body Bags. 2, Fears of the Dark. 3, Kaidan. 4, Trick or Treat. 5, Creep Show. Or 6, Tales from the Crypt. That is a 2. Fears of the Dark.
Let's get animated.
Oh.
Wow, I'm so excited to see this one finally, because this looks real cool. I've been not watching this on my own. I've been saving myself for the show, Cecil.
Aw,
Oh,
I'll be
that's so
gentle.
nice.
it's so
Oh,
sweet.
that's so nice. Okay, so Fears of the Dark, that's what we're gonna watch. That was easy. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me, and thank you, fantastic colleague, horror lover, Robin Virginie. Robin,
Ah,
where can people find you and your work in this world?
just outside on this in Times Square. I'm sometimes there. You can find me. I mean, sometimes I am there, but you can also just find me on Instagram, robin.virginie. And that's kind of where I post if I'm doing anything. So start there
Okay.
if you want. And that's it.
You can also hear Robin
Oh
on
my
the
God,
hit
yeah.
podcast. Occasionally, you will hear her as the voice of Radio Jupiter on the hit podcast Welcome to Night Vale, and also in the newest season, season 9 of Within the Wires, written by me and Janina Matthewson, also former guest on this show. If y'all have
Yes.
thoughts on Scanners or ideas for other movies that you would have chosen as your wild card horror anthology, let us know either on Patreon or Instagram at Random Horror 9. And by the way, we make public discussion threads for each episode on Patreon, so you don't have to be a paying member to participate in those. And watch Fears of the Dark with us this week, and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no one shooting up your freaky art with shotguns or nothing. Ooh,
Boo.
awesome.